Okay, so we're going to work on the nozzle now, the Nacelle, the engine covering basically. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to delete these first because they're kind of in the way. So, hold on. Yep, delete those. In this 3 view, they gave us some nice cross sections here, which will be really useful. What I'm going to do is make sketches and turn those sketches into blocks, just like we did with the airfoils. Make these sketches and then import them into a new part and loft between them all, and it'll make a nice, as close as we can, shape to this. So the first step is to so we have a sketch open already. How I'm going to do this is we're going to use splines, which splines are kind of their own beast in Solidworks, but Solidworks handles them much better than something like Pro Engineer or some other programs. In 2014, I don't know if you're running 2014. If not, you should, because it does have some newer, nicer things. You could always just torrent it, but I didn't say that. So I'm going to use style splines because they are very, very useful. And the way style splines work is you make construction lines, and anywhere that your spline crosses a construction line, right, like right there, it's crossing, it's called an inflection point. And if you haven't had, calculus or something, an inflection point is where the spline changes its curvature. So for instance, here it's curved inwards, and it crosses the line and it curves outwards. So that's just kind of something to be aware of, and you change it by changing these handles, and you can make all kinds of cool curves and perfectly shaped and all that. So that's new in 2014, and I gotta say I love them very much. So we're just gonna kind of make it so that it looks right. And I've already made this before, so I know what pattern kind of looks correct. So it took a little bit of tweaking to figure out that this is the kind of shape I needed. It's very important to make sure that these are both either vertical or horizontal, one of the two, because whenever you mirror them, you want this face to be tangent, this seam, because otherwise you'll have a seam in your end result, which is not a huge deal, but since we have the power to avoid it, we're going to try our best. Make sure they're horizontal because we're going to mirror it across. And while we're at mirroring, might as well put a center line through, and then mirror that through that. And now we're going to fine tune it a little bit. So we're going to move the mirror line closer, adjust these so that they look a little bit more accurate. So that looks pretty good. So we're going to go to Tools, Blocks, Save. I'm going to save it as Profile 1. Okay, and then we're going to exit the sketch and then make a new sketch on the top plane. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do 2 of these just to kind of show you what to do. They're all really the same, so I'm not going to waste the precious video time showing you the same thing over and over again, as I'm sure you're already tired of seeing. But there is one important thing that I want want to point out. You just kind of gotta fiddle with it. That looks pretty good. And mirror it. And adjust this line a little bit. Okay. Now what I was saying that's really important is you'll see how they put a line clear through, and I like to think of that as my origin line. And so for this sketch, the origin line is right at this point. For this sketch, the origin line we're going to have to draw. I guess the correct word for it is datum, the point of reference. And put that right there. So now what we're going to do is whenever we put all these sketches into its part, we're going to line up this, and that'll keep everything perfectly in line. Now, and then you're going to save this as a block. I've already gone through and made all of these, and and for these, just don't worry about that. That's the wing, and we'll incorporate that later. So that's how you make them. I'm going to show you how we loft them together. So we're going to make a new part. And, well, one thing, we need to know how far apart to put our planes. So these are our corresponding plane references. And the way I do this is I put a line between the two. And then you right click the line and do split entities, and just come along and split the line up, and then dimension it. Okay, so we've got that all figured out. Now we need to go and make our planes in our part. So feature, reference plane, we'll go off the front plane. And the first one is offset by 622. And I'm going to flip it just because that seems like the appropriate way to put it. And then we're going to put another plane in reference to that plane, flip it. That is 1200. And then another plane, and that is 800. Once more, 550. And 530. Okay. So we got our planes set up. And then what we're going to do is put sketches on each of our planes. So put a sketch on the front plane. We go to Insert, not insert, tools, blocks, insert, browse, Odesk, Cessna, and here's all the profiles I made. So profile 1. Now you'll notice it is sideways, so we'll go to rotate, select, center rotation, about the origin, oops, minus 90. And then we set up our datum line onto our origin. And exit that sketch. So there's our first piece of the skeleton. Put a sketch on the next plane. Tools, blocks, insert, browse. We'll rotate it. Oops, I pressed escape. I guess I forgot to put the points at the intersection when I made these. So we'll just come in and put a point. Okay. Then we put another sketch. How did that work? I should probably just edit most of this out because it is probably kind of boring to watch this. There we go. Now you'll see we're starting to get the skeleton shape made up. I keep pressing escape for some reason. You would think I would know by now. Okay, and another one. And one more to insert. Okay, so the way to check this is to go to the front view, and it looks like one of them isn't in line for some reason, and it looks like it's sketch 6 because it looks like it's not vertical, so that must have been just a weird. Let me just try deleting this and retrying it. I don't know why. Box, insert, profile 6. Okay, that looks better. So now, if we, I'll show you what happens if we do a loft right now without any extra work. I mean, it's not bad, but it's also, oops, not really what we're looking for. Come on. So we get something like that, and you'll see it's all curvy and not straight, and it's just, you know, not good. The way to fix that is to put guide curves in. So, first we need to put something to put our guide curve on. We don't want to stop straight, so I'm going to put a plane, maybe set from that plane, I don't know, maybe 50 millimeters. We'll do 75. That'll do. We'll put a sketch on it, and let's put normal 2, and I want it to be in the center of that. Okay, so now I already just got kind of a point there. So now we can put our guide curve in on the right plane. And the key to this is, I'm going to put a regular spline through. The key to this is every piece of the spline has to touch a profile. And we have to do that by hand to ensure, because I mean, you could try to do it, but it likely won't work the first time. So we got to come in, and pierce is the relationship we want to use. So it kind of pierces the line. I don't know where the name came from, but oops, not coincident. Okay, and I just noticed looking at this, first off, let's exit that sketch. Looking at this sketch here, these were not made to be in line, so you just come in and fix it. Alright, so now we are looking at this sketch. It looks pretty good, except I want this to be vertical. Oops, no. Alright, that might just mess with this a little bit. That looks pretty good. And then we do another sketch on the right plane on the bottom side. Okay, so that point pierces that line, and that point pierces that line. Okay, same thing, we'll come in and make this one vertical, which means tangent to there. And kind of try to make these, this area right through here doesn't really matter because it'll be in the wing, so we only really care about like this part up here. So exit out of that sketch, and now we are ready to loft. So we'll go with that sketch, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the point at the end, and now our guide curves. And there we go. That is our engine nozzle. And if you take the lines off, you'll notice there's no seam, which is what we look for. Okay, and in the next one I will show you, next one I'll show you how to put this onto the center wing. Yeah, that sounds good.